This is CNN Breaking News.
This is Piers Live. Welcome to our viewers in the United States and around the world. Tonight, breaking news. Vladimir Putin's extraordinary plea for caution in a New York Times op-ed piece that will be appearing online tonight and in the paper tomorrow. He says a US strike on Syria could spread the conflict throughout the region, and he cites history, saying, quotes, relations between us have passed through different stages. We stood against each other during the Cold War, but we were also allies once and defeated the Nazis together. The Universal International Organization, the United Nations, was then established to prevent such devastation from ever happening again. We'll have much more on that extraordinary op-ed from Vladimir Putin later. Joining me now is Howard Dean, former presidential candidate and governor of Vermont, also Tom Ridge. He was the first Homeland Security Secretary under President George W. Bush, as a former governor of Pennsylvania. Welcome to you both. Let me ask you this, Tom Ridge. If you don't take any action, having said my red line is the use of chemical weapons, if you as the leader of the United States of America then don't do anything when somebody flagrantly crosses that line you have set, where does that leave your authority?
I tell you what, I think there's a subplot here that nobody's really talking about, and that's the expanded influence, not of Russia in the region. They're filling the vacuum that we normally, the leadership vacuum that the United States has historically provided, but it's Iran. Iran, you take a look at the map, go east to west. Iran has more influence in Iraq than we do. We spend $2 trillion and 4,500 men and women dead. Iran has more influence there. They are controlling and working with Assad, providing weapons, flying over Iraq, even though we asked Iraq to deny them access to the airspace. Oh, and by the way, they're helping with Hezbollah. And then you go inside that map, they're now into Lebanon. And then you take a look at the other countries in the region. And nobody wants to talk about, I think the bigger issue in here is the expansion of Iran's influence in the region. And I think that's a significant plot in this.
I totally agree. And one of the things that the president must do is cut off arms to Maliki. Maliki has become an Iranian puppet. He just murdered in cold blood 52 Iranian dissidents who we disarmed, who were our allies, essentially. You know, he's getting away with it with impunity. We may be occupied by Syria, but we have to stand up for people who can't defend themselves, especially when every single one of them has a written promise from the United States.
Give me a very quick update on the Camp Ashraf.
Well, the Camp Ashraf is the State Department did help to negotiate a solution which moved the remaining 52 or 50 or some odd people that had survived. 6 of them were kidnapped and are probably going to be extradited to Iran, where they're going to be tortured and murdered. And, you know, we owe these people. When we disarmed them, we promised them in writing. Each one of them has a piece of paper in writing that said that the United States would protect them. We have not done that. And Maliki has really become a stooge of the Iranian government. And why the heck we are arming a stooge of the Iranian government, I have no idea.
Well, it'll carry on that. Final word to you, Tom.
Well, the 52 people that were basically, they were political assassinations, Piers. They were shot with their hands tied behind their back, through the forehead in many instances. And at the end of the day, every one of them may have been buried with a written guarantee from the Department of Defense when they surrendered their means of self-defense some time ago. We also are concerned about the remaining 3,200. And here's where the UN could finally do something. They ought to put some blue helmets there until the United States and the rest of the world figures out how to get these defenseless Iranian dissidents, pro-democracy Iranians, out of Iraq, because, again, sadly, tragically, Iran has more influence in Iraq than the United States of America.
Okay, well, it is a pretty shameful state of affairs. Howard Dean and Tom Ridge, thank you both very much indeed.